everyone! Welcome back to another 1v1 battle. I am playing as Belegar with the Dwarves once again, just messing around. Like I said in the last episode, I was going to kind of just do a couple matches with Belegar, test them out here. This is a slightly varied army, but on this fight we're going to be facing off against Chaos. My army is 2 Longbeards in the front with the Nordgrimlings Ironbreakers. We have 2 Dwarven Warriors with great weapons behind them, the 2 Runesmiths, Belegar, the Grumbling Guard, and the Peak Gate Guard, and then 2 Miners and a Dwarf Warrior back here in reserve. Trying to bolster the numbers this time and see if that is going to change much there. The Chaos player has a Marauder Horseman on the flanks. We have 2 Forsaken on the sides of these armies, 1 Chaos Marauder, 4 Chaos Warriors with great weapons, 2 Aspiring Champions, 2 Chaos Pharaoh Manticores, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire, and then the Exalted Hero. So a big Air Force this time as well. I'm assuming that the Forsaken were brought to combat against Slayers and Rangers is my guess. Because they don't really have, they have high like weapon damage, but a lot of their weapon damage is going to be blocked by Dwarven armor. So I'm assuming that's why they were brought here. And then the Horsemen, I believe these are just the normal ones, not the ones with the throwing axes. So again, I guess that's to threaten maybe artillery, Slayers, things like that. So initially I'm going to be marching at the top of the hill, just getting into formation with this giant rock formation on our backside to make it harder for the enemy to surround us. Also, I was in formation this time and not spread out into just a giant long line like I was last time, which I was happy about. And then we're going to try and meet the Chaos Forces at the base of the hill, because I don't necessarily like to hill camp, but I went there first, then I'm going to march down. I'm like, you know what, that's fine, we'll fight on the level ground. And then the Chaos is going to march backwards. And I was like, that's weird. They don't have any artillery, but I'm like, well, they do have this Marauder Horseman behind me. So I'm going to start moving one of our Runesmiths back here to try and threaten it with a Rune of Wrath and Ruin. And then I see why they moved back, because they want to hit me with fireballs from the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire. So I'm going to start moving and try and dodge the fireball. It took a little bit of a hit, but it wasn't that bad. Now, fireballs can, like, one-shot weak casters. I think it does do reduced armor, or reduced damage to high armor, but against the lighter armored units, I think it can, like, one-shot, like, an Orc Shaman, like, Empire casters that have very low armor. I think it can do that. But against the higher armor, the Dwarves, I don't think it has as much damage potential. But also, it didn't hit us head-on. But the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire there did try to snipe a Runesmith. Didn't do too much for them, and now I'm going to advance, seeing that they want to just try and bide their time and probably try and spend all of the Winds of Magic on fireball sniping my heroes. So I'm like, well, let's just march forward and make sure that doesn't happen. So thankfully, the enemy player is going to eventually take this battle here and not going to continue to retreat, which is I'm very happy about. My Runesmith, for some reason, was moving back here, even though they're supposed to be in formation. Not sure why they did that, but it's fine. We're moving them back up front. You can see the Vigor Aura of the Grumbling Guard being procced on the units around them. As the Flying Manticores get above us, I'm throwing out the Rune of Wrath and Ruin on the Chaos Warriors with great weapons. And the Nordgrimlings Ironbreakers, who are in formation this time, get to throw out their stuff. And they actually are going to do a lot of damage to these Chaos Warriors with great weapons. And there goes the other Rune of Wrath and Ruin, these Chaos Warriors. We're going to start casting our defensive buffs. So on each flank, we have a Runesmith for each. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire is going to be casting buffs, I think, right now. And we're throwing in our Dwarven Warriors with great weapons and keeping our Miners and Dwarf Warriors in reserve. Nordgrimlings are going to hold the center against these Chaos Warriors with great weapons. And again, you can see their satchel charges did do a lot of damage to these very high armored warriors. Meanwhile, the Runesmith over here is going to be holding the left with the Longbeards, Miners, and Dwarf Warriors with great weapons against these Chaos Warriors. And again, we still have people in reserve. The Horsemasters, or the Horsemen, came too close, so I charged them with our Dwarf Warriors. It got some decent amount of damage in there, but then we were going to be held together by these Forsaken. Forsaken can actually do pretty good against Dwarf Warriors. Very, just normal Dwarf Warriors. So that fight's going to, I think, be in the Forsaken's favor. Meanwhile, over here, we have Belegar just dealing some damage to these Dwarven, not Dwarven, but Chaos Warriors with great weapons, and the Marauders and the Aspiring Champions. Meanwhile, the Chaos Lord of Fire and some of their Air Force is going to go down in the middle. Seeing that, I'm going to move Belegar out of this fight and try to respond to this threat of the Air Force trying to rout our Nordgrimlings Ironbreakers. Luckily for me, they are a very hardy folk. Dwarves are hardy, but the Nordgrimlings Ironbreakers are even more hardy. So the Belegar should be moving out here pretty soon. But you can see the amount of damage they've dealt to this great weapons warrior back there. Over here, our Dwarf Warriors are being destroyed by the Forsaken, but they're holding them in place for a while and keeping them from hitting our rear, so that's okay. Over here, they have an entire encirclement along the left flank, but we do have our Peak Gate Guard over here. I believe that's who I have put over here. Yeah. So the Peak Gate Guard is on the left. The Grumblers, I believe I went up the middle, and then the right side just had Belegar. But you can see, we turned... Actually, I guess Belegar didn't get there in time. But we turned all of our attention after riding those Chaos Warriors Great Weapons on the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire and did a massive amount of damage. And you gotta remember, all of these warriors over here are fighting as fresh because of the Grumbling Guard. One of the... not maybe even the best dwarf unit in the game. The Grumbling Guard. I'm not even over-exaggerating with that one. Anyway, on the right side, all that's left is going to be the Runesmith and a couple Dwarf Warriors with their Longbeard brethren nearby. Runesmith's going to do what they can to hold this against the Manticore, the Great Weapon Chaos Warriors, and the Forsaken over here. Meanwhile, in the middle, the middle's kind of just broken down, and now we're just fighting in two flanks over here with these horsemen behind us. I'm not too worried about the horsemen because their missiles are non-armor piercing, really. So on the left, I've redoubled our efforts to try and crush the Chaos Warriors and aspiring champions that are over there. With Belegar, the Runesmith, our Longbeards, Norgrimlings, Ironbreakers, and the Grumbling Guard with the Peak Gate Guard. So like all of our renowned units are over here along Belegar. So I'm expecting to win this side. One of the Exalted Hero, actually the only Exalted Hero, comes down to the Manticore once again to fight. They lost a lot of health points, I believe, in the fight in the middle there earlier. And we're going to put the Grumbling Guard, the Peak Gate Guard, and then also Belegar Ironhammer against this Exalted Hero. And he is going to fall almost instantly. And it was at this point that the enemy player just leaves the game. I guess they conceded, knowing that they were... most likely going to lose. A lot of their Manticores at this point were heavily damaged. I was going to lose the right, but over here we still had, I don't know, like 12-ish models of Longbeards. We had the Runesmith still in decent shape, and we were fighting against the Aspiring Champions and these Chaos Warriors with great weapons. But I do think they would win this battle, but they would be totally almost destroyed to a man as well. The Horsemen, I spent a lot of their ammunition, but they are really not much of a factor in this battle because they're non-armor piercers, and I have a bunch of high armor. But like on the left side, though, there wasn't much left remaining, so I can see why my opponent left at this point. It was pretty much victory was assured because we still had a pretty healthy Gate Guard and Grumbling Guard and all that stuff. But good game to my opponent. We stood strong with Belegar and his Warriors of Renown, though I did bring slightly less of them this time in terms, or in exchange for a greater number to have a reserve force in our backline to prevent ourselves from getting completely surrounded. So the final tally here, 25 kills on Belegar Ironhammer. We have some decent amount of kills on the miners. The Dwarf Warriors with great weapons did pretty good since they were intermixed with Longbeards that were taking a lot of the hits that would otherwise go to the Dwarf Warriors. Longbeards, they held the line. That's what they're there for. I didn't expect them to get many kills, but they're very defensively focused unit that is immune to psychology. And being immune to psychology is pretty big because I believe Manticores are all terror. I'll double check that, but I'm almost like 100% sure they inflict terror and fear. So having a lot of units that are immune to psychology, including Belegar, if you take his legendary item, he's immune to psychology as long as his morale is above 50%. So that's pretty important so we don't just kind of get chain routed with Manticores diving in and inflicting their terror and stuff. The Norgrimlings Ironbreakers did a lot of damage to those Chaos Warriors on the charge and then did 66 kills. You can see they barely took any damage. I'll go over these stats here in a bit because, damn, they're pretty high. And I kind of have been ignoring them just because of their cost. Peak Gate Guard is just an absurdly great unit, kind of like the Grumbling Guard. They're really good for their price. 72 kills on them, and they were still relatively healthy. They're just really, really good. And then for Invicta here, we have 15 kills in the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire. 41 in the Chaos Marauders is not bad. The Aspiring Champions got an okay amount of kills there for their leadership aura and just keeping troops in place. The Forsaken did actually really well. Going into this battle, I wasn't expecting much from them, but 53 kills from Forsaken. I believe that was against our Dwarven Warrior back here who only killed about 13 of them. That's still pretty good. I thought the Dwarven armor would hold out a lot more against their damage, but nope, did not. The main line of Chaos Warriors with great weapons, some of them fared better than others. I believe this is probably the one that got taken out by the Ironbreakers. The Chaos Pharaoh Manticores, they have a very high amount of damage. Not much of that is armor piercing, but still it's a lot of damage. So they can eventually take a lot of health out of your units. But still they only netted 17 and 5 kills, which is probably not really worth the cost. The Exalted Hero only got 8 kills, which is not that great for an Exalted Hero. But the Marauder Horseman actually got 20. I'm kind of surprised about that they got 20. But yeah, anyway, again, good game to Invicta. Let's just go over some of those stats real quick and let me remind myself that the Manticores, I'm like 99.9% sure, but I don't honestly bring them, so I kind of forget. Yeah, Fear and Terror. So the Longbeards, Belegar, the Norgrimlings, Ironbreakers. Yep. PK card. Yep. Crumbling Guard. Yeah. So most of my army was immune to psychology, so the Terror and Fear was never a thing that we had to worry about, except for our miners and then, of course, those Dwarven warriors that we had. But the core of our army is immune to Terror. But yeah, so the Norgrimlings, Ironbreakers, if we just match them up with the normal one. So for 250 more, getting an additional 11 melee attack and 15 melee defense, including 1,600 additional hit points because they have 20 additional models. And I think more ammunition? No, same ammunition. Well, technically more because they have more models throwing out ammunition. That's just so good. An 83 melee defense with 120 armor backing that up is just amazing. Like, look at the Chaos Chosen. They're one of the best, like, offensive infantry in the game, I think. We didn't fight them in this one, but, like, the Chosen with great weapons. So the Chosen with great weapons only have a 46 melee attack, which is half of what the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers are. And these guys are geared for killing, well, dwarves. They can peer through their armor with their high weapon strength. Now, they're still going to hit. It's just that they're not going to hit as often against those Ironbreakers. 83 melee defense is just... I don't even know if anything else has a base of 80. I don't think anything does in this entire game unless you buff it. Like, even the Chosen only have a 62, and that's really high. See, that's insane. That amount of defense is just insane on these guys. And getting 20 additional models, they... man, even with armor pierces going against them, they will last for a very, very long time. And 96 leadership is damn near unbreakable. Especially when you put that with immune psychology. They're pretty good. I didn't give them enough credit, I think. I'll try and bring them a little bit more. And then, of course, Belegar we went over before. So let's go watch a quick cinematic view against Invicta there. I want to see these satchel charges. And even that, like, kind of broke their charge because half their forces back here getting disrupted. It was a nice flank here of these Forsaken against my Dwarf Warriors and Miners over here. Oh, I see. The Exalted Hero actually got punished by the PK card. That's where I thought the Exalted Hero was in the middle. No, it was the PK card that did most of that. Now, you usually see a Chaos Sorcerer Lord in charge, not a... I'm sorry, not Sorcerer Lord, a Chaos Lord, and not the Sorcerer Lord. Because the Sorcerer Lord has weaker melee stats than a normal Chaos Lord, and you usually bring the Chaos Sorcerer on a Manticore instead, is what you usually see. So this is actually kind of not exactly the norm of what you see from Chaos right now. Pretty close, but not the norm. Smack that Manticore in the face from Smith. All magic users or was it? There it is. There's the Dwarven war cry. Hope you enjoyed that, everybody. So now we are 1-1 for Belegar, and I'm sure I'll bring him again in the future. Because honestly, I haven't really seen him to like his full potential yet. Because in theory, I haven't done it yet, but in theory, he can like 1v1 almost anybody. And I want to see that happen. I want to see like a King Lewin charge me and then just pop his buffs. Although it'd be kind of hard to keep King Lewin there, because then he'll probably just retreat. I need to get like some Dragonback Slayers to slow his movement or something. But anyway, again, I hope you enjoyed, everybody. I will see you all next time. Exalted Hero looks pretty sweet on the man score. Take care.